Alright. See here, we do a quick bit of exiting. Alright. Alright. 30-day challenge, everything's good. Hey guys, try to adjust this lighting a little bit here. Alright. Yeah. Sorry about the lighting. I'm trying to work on the lighting issue here. I got great lighting, but I've been the lighting I've had has been kind of washing out the models, and it's been a little, I didn't want that to happen with the miniatures. I'm still getting it a little bit. I'm going to have to work on the filtering on this. Man, I'm going to have to, sorry for the brightness, but I'm just going to have to deal with it. So I want to make sure that I am seeing the miniature while I'm painting. Yeah, there we go. That yellow really, man, that yellow without the wash really, or sorry, not yellow, but desert brown from Monument Hobbies. It's really, when the light hits it, it's really shiny. But as you can see here, it gets dampened down a lot once I put a wash over it. So we're going to go ahead today, and we're just continuing on the batch painting that I started yesterday. Well, actually, a week ago. I'm at about 20 some odd models done so far. By Sunday, or next Sunday, I should be at about 50 models. I was starting to panic yesterday. Well, hopefully didn't show on the camera, but I was starting to panic yesterday because I thought about, oh my gosh, I only have 1 week to knock out 40 models. I didn't realize the date was the 15th, or today's the 15th. I still got 15 days, so I can slow down just a tad. I'm still gonna show off the finish, maybe even today, finish up the suppressors and show that off. Actually, I'm going to show that off on Wednesday, like I said I was going to, and then show work on the eliminators, which are the sniper squads from the new Vanguard Space Marines. If you guys are just watching, or if you're watching the live stream or anything, don't worry. It was just kind of like a spontaneous, slightly spontaneous thing. I wanted to start doing more videos for you guys, especially like our Patreon supporters, and everybody jumps on the chat and everything, to kind of show you guys that we are putting into use the money that you have donated to FMP Wargamers. So you're seeing what we're using it for, and you're getting your money's worth. So today we're going to be continuing batch painting infiltrators. I've got 10 here with me, and I've got about 1 hour and 45 minutes before I got to go turn on the lights and get to work, regular work. I'm sitting here at the studio at work. I'll worry about suppressors. Yeah, suppressors, I'll worry about them on Wednesday. Well, actually, I'll work on them tomorrow, but I'll show you the results on Wednesday. Let's see here. Let me check chat. If you're on Twitch right now, I'm unable to watch the Twitch chatter and the YouTube chatter at the same time in the very near future. Well, May, as long as my overlay and everything is all working and functional. I will be paying attention to the chat in Twitch. It is right now the stronger platform for this sort of thing. And we will still upload to YouTube, and it'll still have live feeds, but I just will not be interacting with the people that, or if you're in that chat, I will not be interacting. So just something to think about in the future. All right, let's do this. Probably would help if I told people that I was live streaming outside of my normal live streaming window. Forgot to hit enter on a couple things. So let's do that real quick, just so we can get some more people jumping on. It's very important that people, when people are doing like live feeds and stuff, it's very important to get on there and show your support. And that's by hitting like and, oh gosh darn it, why didn't that work? By hitting like and subscribing. Even if you're not going to be watching every week, or you're worried about too much traffic, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting hit with all these messages from YouTube or anything, you can manage your notifications. But going in, hitting like and subscribe, and getting your family and friends to hit like and subscribe, it really helps out YouTubers and Twitch people on Twitch, anybody that's doing live streams. Because eventually, even without you being a Patreon supporter, which even the most minor donation really helps out the organization, helps it grow and everything, just hitting like and subscribe will increase our presence online and draw in actual sponsors and supporters to a point where not only do we have our Patreon supporters, but we have sponsors and YouTube itself, or Twitch, where we're getting money to buy better studio equipment, lapel mics. It would be great. We've discussed like a green or blue screen in the background so we could have studio shows. These are all things that we're looking for in the future, and that's what that money goes towards. Like, we've got all this great filming equipment to start filming, or not to start, but to continue filming battle reports and live painting videos like this. So thank you for everybody that has supported us so far, whether it's just a like and subscribe, or if it's being a Patreon supporter. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get to painting. I will try not to ramble too much today, especially considering most of you are at work or at school, so it's going to be kind of hard to follow. But don't worry, this is just a temporary, not even temporary, this is just an extra video during the week that I'm going to start doing just for everybody. So you can continue to see the progress that I'm putting into this 30-day challenge, 65 models, 2,000 point Warhammer 40,000 army. Bit of a challenge. It's possible, I'm not going to admit it, but it's possible that I bit off more than I could chew. But we will see. We will see. I believe I can do it. I mean, I did 20 models last week, and I will, if things go the right way, I'll have at the very least another 20 done this week. I'm really thinking 30 because I'm down. I've got these infiltrators. Let me get the camera directly over this. I got the infiltrators worked out. I'm now spending, when I'm not sitting here chatting and messing with the camera or interacting with you guys, and I'm just keeping my mouth shut and just concentrating on painting. I am doing these guys, about 5 guys in about an hour and a half. A little bit less time has just been kind of like creeping up. The first day was an hour and a half on one miniature, and now I'm at 20 miniatures, and so it's a little bit less than an hour and a half, but it's just safer just to say hour and a half. So right now what I'm doing is just batch painting. For those that are not aware what batch painting is, it's simply grabbing 3, 5, 10, just a batch of models, and painting them all at the same time. And right now, at least for me, and this is kind of what I'm teaching, is that you pick one color on the model and you simply paint that, grab the next model in the line, and you want to keep them in line. As a lot of you have already heard me say in the past 4 videos, keep them in line, and I'll explain that in a minute. And you paint that same part, so they've got hair, which is what I just did. I used a little bit of Rhinox hide from Citadel to start with the base coat of these 2 guys' hair. And you paint that one part that you're aiming for, his boots, his gun, the scope, the little eye lenses on their helmets, whatever. And you paint that part for each guy. So each of those 5 guys get, in my case, I got 5 guys lined up here. They all get that same spot of paint. And by the time I get to the 5th guy, the first guy should theoretically be dry, so I can come back to him and start on his next color. And I'm going to work down that line, that next color, in that same spot on each and every miniature. That way that's essentially what batch painting is. And it's been really cool that there's a lot of people that have gone online, and they're like, hey, here I am batch painting, this is what batch painting looks like, etc., etc. But something that they're not doing is showing you actually what that looks like. Let's see if I can aim the camera a little bit here. Hold on a second. So there is my 5 miniatures. A little blurry. But it's those 5 miniatures. I've got them lined up from left to right, and all I'm doing is grabbing a paint. In this case, it's a little bit of wog flesh. It's a very dark green. If you're an orc player of any game, it's really probably the best green you want to lay down right now that I've encountered of all the different paint lines. It's probably the best green to start with, and then afterwards you're going to want to go in with some washes or shades, sorry. And then go back in and lighten up. So what I'm doing right now is using this wog flesh, actually. Sorry about the lighting, it's a little washed out. I'll try to adjust that. We got a couple of different filters here for the lighting, so I'm going to try and adjust that for the next show. I just kind of noticed that today, but I wanted to get painting right away. Alright, so all I'm doing is painting the frag grenades or fragmentation grenades, the pineapple grenades. If you probably hear that a lot from like World War II movies, because they kind of look like pineapples because of the little ridges. Those are like little fragmentation parts that go out and kill people or hurt them, depending on what movie or cartoon or whatever you're watching. So still going left to right, each guy, their fragmentation grenade is getting painted wog flesh. I'm trying to leave the top part alone. The top part I've already painted the little pin, the little part that helps activate the grenade. I've already painted that a metallic color just to keep it kind of separated from the rest of the model, help it stand out. The reason why I do that, I know a lot of people are like, well, just paint the whole thing green or paint the whole thing red or whatever. I really want the model to stand out. So to do that, I've got to go in and make sure every component, or at least almost every component, is painted. Because you want like 2 colors per area. So just quick look around. Okay, all that guy's grenades are done. So that's 5 grenades, really quick. And something to think about when you're painting the miniatures is you want your brushstrokes to come towards you. When you go away, and you can go away, but you lose a lot of that that control when it goes this way. See, it's more of a natural movement to bring it back towards you. So try to feather or drag that brush towards you. Another thing to do with these brushes is, you can't see it, but this brush has already started to do this little hook at the end, just a little hook, and that's because I forgot, and I didn't waste this brush, but I wasted it. It's because you do not rotate your brush, and once you start painting in a certain way, the brush will curl, and it's very difficult to get it to go back. So it's easier, especially when you're spending $7, $8, up to $30 or more for a brush, to, after you do a couple strokes with the brush, just in your fingertips, rotate it 80, 90 degrees, 72.5, 3/9er. I don't care. Just rotate it and keep doing that after each little area, and that way it will help prolong the life of your brush. Some people like the little hook because it helps them kind of, well, get in there and kind of in those hard areas. But when you need to come back and get that very precise brush tip control, especially when you're doing small areas like the eyes or the teeth or whatever, you're going to lose that perfect tip because now it's all bent. So, but this brush, I'm just using this as a layering brush. After these 65 models, it's probably going to be tossed. It'll probably be useless, but that's all right. It'll serve its purpose. I'll give it a proper send-off, set it on fire. I know it's not like a flag or anything, but it will have done its job successfully. All right. So the next area I'm going to mess with is while I'm waiting for that green to dry. I'm hoping it won't dry up on my palette here. So I'm going to be squirting out a little bit of titanium or bold titanium white. This is probably the best white on the market. And I know I said I really like Citadel paints, but I have not encountered anybody that has a good white out there until I came across Monument Hobbies bold titanium white. And I'm not getting sponsored, or I'm not getting money from them. I'm not getting free product or anything. So I'm not trying to diss Citadel or Vallejo or anything. But right now, after using white so many times on different models, it really is the best white I've ever used. So what I'm going to be doing with this white is these models have lots of grenades on them. So what I'm doing is going in and differentiating them. So he's got this grenade right here. I know that these are smoke grenades for them. Oops, got a little bit of paint over there. So what I'm doing is the center band on these grenades is getting just a dash of white. That's just to kind of show off that, kind of differentiate, make them look different. The frag grenades I'm making green because it's probably the most recognizable color when it comes to those fragmentation grenades from, like, if you remember from like World War II movies, or even, I don't know, paramilitary movies, something like that. You'll see those type of grenades more often than not. And then what they call crack grenades, which are anti-armor. I mean, in a way they are anti-personnel, but they're designed just to crack open armor, like for vehicles or maybe even a door. It's like a breaching charge almost. And yes, they have what's called a melt-a-bomb, which is even more of an extremely destructive type of grenade. It's really more like a demolition charge than it is a grenade. That one is definitely for demolishing buildings and vehicles and whatnot. Some of these guys, you gotta remember that some of these guys have multiples of the grenades. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, all I'm doing is just putting that little white band on there. There we go. I might have to raise this camera up a little bit. Excuse me, sorry for this. Things got adjusted yesterday. There we go, perfect. And I'm also not necessarily worried about too much of an overpaint or getting paint on a model. I'm going to do my best to avoid it because I don't want to have to go back and do too much touch-up work, but if it happens, it's okay because it's paint. The only thing you need to avoid is if you get red paint or reddish paint on white, it becomes very difficult to paint over that because that red, the pigment in it, bleeds through. What I would recommend is that you either paint black or gray over the red and then redo the white instead of just slapping white down. Now this guy doesn't have any grenades, but he's got these little ampules on his Helix something rather. Basically, it's a device a medical device. Normally, a doc is a medic for the Marines is a separate unit, but these guys, these new infiltrators, have they can have an upgrade where they basically have a doc already built into the squad, or I mean you have to pay extra for it. But it's basically like having a full-blown dock there where your guys can get back up after they've been hurt. Alright, so just went ahead and took care of all those little dots. I'm going to rinse and repeat. Hey Renfro, how you doing? If you're just getting on, I'm just doing kind of a surprise part 5 for the painting show. It's I discussed with Jonathan, TJ, and Ski over the past few weeks and everything. I just got a little confirmation today. We need to keep doing more videos for you guys because we got a lot that we want to pass on, and one video a week or the occasional battle report is not enough. So we are going to step up those painting videos for you guys because you guys deserve it. You've been our supporters and fans, so we're going to be cranking stuff out a little bit more often now. Right now, it'll probably be me the most because I am the only one, as sad as it is, without family and you know, a 9-to-5 job and all that jazz. I can sit down in the studio and really do all this. Ski is a little, even though he's got a family, has a little bit more time. And then, of course, Jonathan and them very busy with their lives to be able to do multiple videos throughout the week. So me with my sad life is a boon to you guys because I'll be able to start doing more painting videos, some more gaming videos, and we're going to have some, we're talking about a couple other type of videos where we interact with you guys throughout the week, some more live shows and whatnot, especially for all of our Patreon supporters. We're really appreciative of. Alright, so all I'm doing here is just painting the little fragmentation parts. It's a mixture of wog flesh and that bold titanium white, and it'll look definitely bright, but I got a little too much on there. When I come back in with the known oil shade, I'm going to be calling it a wash, but it's Games Workshop has started calling it a shade, or their new line, they call them shades, because that's what they do. They shade the model. But I'm used to them. Previously they were washes, and before that they were inks. But in that case they were like literally inks. They weren't watered down paint that the shades are right now. And all I'm doing is just going in and just giving it a little highlight, and I'm going a little bit above and beyond what I need to be doing for these models for the 30-day challenge, just because it's a little irritating for me just to leave one color just do a 3-color minimum. And that's not to say that anybody that does just 3-color minimum is doing it wrong. This is a personal thing for me. For my miniatures, I want to make sure that I have the highest quality, or as close to the highest quality as I can. So right now these models are going to only be what I consider to be would be a tier 2 model for me. So tier 3 or tier 1 would be simply putting on 3-color minimum and a base, which nothing wrong with that. If that's the level of paint that you want to do, and you do that. Just get paint on that model. That's the most important thing. Get paint on your model. And if you don't like that paint job, or you feel like you you can do better, you can go back and add on to it. Like these guys, I am not going to be totally happy with them. I'm going a little bit beyond tier 1, well, a lot beyond tier 1. But at the end of the day, I know that in May, I'm going to be doing a cleanup series, or maybe a home improvement series. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. But essentially, I'm just going to be going through and cleaning up these models. The most important thing is for me to get paint on a model so I can participate in events, because a lot more stores now and tournaments, as I've said numerous times, and I'll say numerous times again, are requiring models to be painted. And some people might be like, well, that's BS. That kind of rules me out. Well, stores and events, even though they're very appreciative of you buying the miniatures and participating in a hobby, when they host these events, they've got to consider drawing in more customers, more members, more participants. And people generally respond better to seeing fully painted and built armies. They don't want to come and see a plastic gray army. They want to come see these fantastic painted models. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. The auto shop next door, they're working on a car, and it sounds like I can still hear the timing belt. Yeah, I'm seeing my little audio or input capture. Yeah, it's spiking. I'm really sorry about that noise. I hope it's not too bad for you guys. That's very annoying. Normally I wouldn't be dealing with that on Wednesday night and Sunday night. I did not count on that happening today, and I apologize if you guys are hearing that. That's bad. It's very irritating for me to hear that. So sorry if you're hearing that. Oh, there we go. They're done. Well, I got this desert brown out. I'm just kind of going over real quick and doing some touch-ups I missed yesterday. Today I'm not going too much for speed because I want to show you guys show you guys this video. I'm hoping to have these 5 guys done in about 25 minutes, so I can move on to the next 5 and have them almost done or completely done, because I did start on them. They got dry brushed, they got their black base coat, or let's see here, no, they did not get a dry brush, but they got the black base coat. I really love these monster sunrises. They really get me up in the morning. Hoping I can get to them. So I'm almost done with these guys. Just a quick look at the miniature. Yeah, everywhere that I needed to be done for me to do the Nuln oil wash, they're done, so I can actually move to that next step. Nuln oil is a shade. It's basically watered down paint. They put a little something else in there, probably a mixing medium. I'm not sure exactly what the formula is, but it looks like dirty water. Colored dirty water, of course, but dirty water nonetheless. And all I'm going to do here, as you can see, I'm trying to get the best angle on that gun there. This is just lead belcher, just the basic dark metal paint. All I'm going to be doing is just splashing this on there, and you can see that it darkens it up and kind of gets down into crevices. And it helps just kind of create shadow and depth for the miniature. Now I'm going to be applying this in several places. The red on that grenade, because I'm going to come back through in the cleanup series and make those grenades pop a little bit more. His smoke grenade, I'm going to do it right over that white because it helps darken it up a little bit. And before I switch to the underbelly of his gun, we're going to get the little antenna here on the side of his head. there's a little bit of other pieces that are like hardwired into his scalp. I will go back over with a fine tip brush to fix that up. He's got all these little extra little doodads, another grenade, and this is where I'm going to put it over that frag grenade that I had lightened up, and now I'm bringing it back down, kind of trying to make it look a little natural, help all those little studs or the little fragment parts pop out. I'm not too worried about getting too much of this wash on the black of the gun. Elsewhere, I would want to be careful, and you'll see that next month, because you don't want to get a black wash, say on, you know, a yellow, something that's yellow. In fact, we're going to be using something different for the yellow. All right, so just continuing my. Sorry about the light here, guys. Man, it's really annoying. Let me get these guys non-oiled, and then I will try to mess with the light a little bit. Sorry about that. That's looking a little washed out. I am not an expert when it comes to this stuff. I will probably ask my friend Clint, who's now part of FNP, as one of our video editors. Have him come in here and walk me through his thoughts on the lighting, so I can make sure this is good for you guys to see. All right, so still doing the batch painting, grabbing each of the models and adding the non-oil all to the same spot so everybody is getting it before I move on to the next model and the next color. So every guy is getting the non-oil wash on their weapon, which I already designated. That's why I wanted to get the process down, have everything painted that need to be non-oiled, or have the non-oil wash on it first, and that way it'll be a lot easier for me to, I don't have to like keep coming back to the non-oil, especially since I'm batch painting and I want this process to be fast and efficient. So in 30 days I'll have 65 models painted. If I was just doing 3-color minimum, I had somebody ask me this offline, oops, did not want that on there, is what would it have been like if I would have done a just a little two. There we go. Great thing about the wash, real quick, is that you can put a brush on there and wick it back up, because as long as you're getting the paint off the brush or the shade off the brush, especially if you get too much on, it's okay because it's paint. But what I would have done is prime these guys gray like their armor is now. That's a standard Mechanicum gray. Would have done that. Then I would have painted black on their shoulder pads. And then I would have simply put metal on the guns. Not like this. I would have made the whole gun probably the lead belcher paint. And then that would have been it. So I got 3 colors there minimum, and despite what people will say that primer does not count, there are now colored primers out there, and the only time that primer should not count, right, is if it's not visible. So in this case, the primer that I'm using, it's visible because it was actually it's actually the base coat also I could have bought, and they don't really know the difference. And in this case, I dry brushed over them, so I already have more colors. But to say that a model is not, or the primer is not does not count as a color is kind of stupid. ITC has kind of moved away from that as long as the color is visible. Now, it does not mean that you can go in and have black armor and then take the non-oil, which is a black wash, and put it over it. Same thing with, say, Mephiston red, and which is a red paint, and then putting on Carenberg crimson shade over it. When it's the same colors, you can't do that. That's like painting a model white, and then a brighter white, and then a brighter white. It's kind of impossible, really, to see the color differences. Good on you for putting the shade the same color shade on the model, and in some cases it helps the model stand out. Known oil on black paint does not work. Carenberg Crimson on red, yeah, it really seeps down into the cracks, and you start seeing a lot of the special features of the miniatures. So yes, do that, but it does not count. So what I'm doing now is attacking that yellow, and I'm using a Seraphim Sepia, which is kind of a yellowish paint, or a yellowish shade, just like those old-time video, or those filters that you use on Snapchat or Instagram or photo editor or whatever. That sepia kind of gives it that old-fashioned look, and that's what I want to do on these pouches. Generally what I'll do with pouches is just make them red, or maybe, or not red, but brown, or occasionally maybe black, depending on the armor of the model, or how the rest of the model looks. But in this case, I wanted these models to stand out more, so I decided to go with a yellowish leather look. It also kind of ties into their color scheme, the Red Scorpions, despite having the name red. Their armor, it's black, it's this dash of yellow, and then literally a red scorpion symbol on their shoulder. To help kind of tie the model in, since these guys don't have a lot of the normal Space Marine flare on their armor, I decided to go ahead and go with those pouches because I wanted these guys to stand out. Something to think about also when you're applying these shades, I just realized that, is be careful if you're shading two areas at the same time or back to back, because they might bleed into each other if you're not careful with where you place the wash. So let's see here. What time is it? Got about 13 minutes to get these final washes on these guys, and while they dry, I'm actually gonna do another wash after this. I want to do a wash on the skin of the exposed skin of, looks like about 3 of these guys, and then that will I'll probably call it quits on these guys and start on my next 5, because I will be doing a cleanup series later, and I've already taken these models well beyond what my original intent was, just simply by me putting in multiple colors and the shadows and the dry brushing. All right, so so this way I can still hit my goal, and I'm actually going to still be reducing a lot of the work I'll have to deal with next month when I go back in my cleanup series by doing these multiple colors and the shadows, dry brushing, a couple layers. I'm actually reducing the amount of my work later. But if I needed to go play in a tournament this weekend and the requirement is, hey, you need to have a fully painted and based army, I will definitely have that. And it's also a source of pride, because I personally will not play a game without a fully based and painted model. That's a personal thing. Though I care about you guys and what you do, I don't care if you don't adhere to that, because that is your own philosophy, that's your own models, and I have no say in it. But for me, and I'm not condemning or admonishing anybody that does that, but for me personally, I do not like to do that. In fact, I won't do that. I don't even like to use other people's armies. I only want to use my stuff. And it's a personal thing. It's just I want to be acknowledged for my own work, and I want to meet the standards that are required that I've set for myself, and that events will have set up. So that's why I will only play games with painted models. I wish I could play here at work, but unfortunately I've got work to do, and the company does not, or the owners do not pay me to play games. I'm here to strictly work and run the business and grow the business, which I'm fine with. I've never been at a job except for Games Workshop. Even then, I still was not allowed to sit there and play games. I was still required to work unless I was doing a demo game for somebody. So I'm not sure where I was going with that, but same quality. I just won't mess with models. I just won't play games without them being painted. Once again, personal choice. If you don't care about that type of thing, and you just have no problem playing with plastic gray, nothing wrong with that. Not condemning you. You know, that's all on your personal choice, and you are ahead of me because you are getting in games without meeting my if I got rid of my standards, I'd have a lot more games, a lot more practice on my armies if I did that. But I don't like to do that. Personal thing. I just take pride in having an army fully done. Okay, so these guys are essentially done. I'm going to set them off to the side. I need to let both those washes dry, because I just put on 2 different washes, shades, whatever, and they need to dry. I'm going to come back to those guys because I still need to finish their shoulder pads. As I'm looking, I can see I forgot to do the shoulder pads, and I need to I need to work on the heads a little bit, but that's it. So I've got my next 5 guys here. I'm going to try to put them all right here. Next 5 guys, all ready to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps out the show, and chat with me sometimes, or any of us. Interact. If you got questions about something I'm doing, or the painting technique or something, I'll do my best to answer. If you're on Twitch right now, I'm sorry, but I cannot converse with you guys. It's not that I don't have the means, but it just the computer slows down. So right now I'm conversing with people on YouTube. That's the format or the platform we started on, and that's the platform that we will continue to use in the time being. Okay, I need to grab a quick paper towel. I've got 8 minutes ahead of schedule to start this next group of 5 guys. So I'm going to grab a paper towel because I need to do dry brushing. If you've never seen dry brushing, this is probably the best way to get paint on the model and make them look presentable. So if you're doing that 3-color minimum, like earlier when I mentioned, I was talking to somebody about, or answering somebody's question about what would 3-color minimum be for me. That would be the standard mechanical gray, the black on the shoulder pads, and then all metal gun, all lead belcher on the gun. That would be 3-color minimum, and that's where I could stop at, and I would actually play with that reluctantly. But to take that to the next level, what I could do, and this would be jumping from tier 1 to low tier 2 for me, would be to dry brush. And that's what I'm going to show you here in just a second. Let me grab paper towel. Got my paper towels. We're ready to do this. All right, dry brushing. Let me get these guys up and out of the way. These guys are very busy. They've got a lot of stuff on them, so I might, in this hour and 6 minutes, only get, well, probably the vast majority of the base coating done. And just like what I did today, or just a little bit ago in this past 30 minutes to an hour, probably about the past 30 minutes, is clean up some of the paint and hit up all the areas with the washes. So for dry brushing, this is really simple. You need a paper towel, an old t-shirt, one that you don't care about getting paint on, When it doesn't fit anymore, it might be your favorite t-shirt, but it's got so many holes in the armpits, or it's got stains on it from your favorite barbecue, whatever, and your wife, girlfriend, mom, whatever, is thrown it away a couple times, and you've gotten it, grabbed it out of the trash or the yard sale a couple times. That's actually kind of like the perfect shirt to use. So stop wearing it if it's got holes in it. I know it's your favorite shirt, but just stop. I would not recommend using your favorite underwear. I like something with Peter Griffin, with his underwear. If you saw the episode where it had holes in it, it was like his favorite underwear or something. Don't use that, but use a t-shirt for sure, an old t-shirt. So what we're going to do is, I've primed these models, the gray. Put it under here so you can see there's the gray. I've already applied the black to the models, and this guy I'm holding up right here, this ridiculous guy that's got, he's wielding one pistol, he's got another one holstered, and then he's got this rifle, and he's got all these suppressors, he's got a knife, he's got all these grenades all over him. This guy is ready for action. This guy will be a perfect example of why I wanted to apply the black first. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. Let me rotate my palette. I'm going to be using a small dry brush from Citadel. When you get these brushes and you're going to be dry brushing, avoid using synthetic brushes unless it's like really fine, super fine hair, and it's just chock full of it, because the synthetic hairs don't hold the paint as well, and when you're dry brushing you will get weird streaks. Using the natural horsehair brushes, they're a lot softer, they're a lot finer, and they're better suited, I think, for this type of painting. Actually, I think they're kind of better painting all around, for painting all around, especially in regards to, man, I just got paint all over me. Gosh, darn it. They're just kind of better overall. All right, so with your towel or paper towel, or if you got an old shirt, old towel, whatever, you're going to get paint on the brush. So I've got some Administratum Gray from Citadel. It's a very light gray compared to the standard Mechanicum Gray. You can see the two different extremes there of gray and light gray. So what I'm going to do here, and it's going to sound counterintuitive, but bear with me. You're going to take the brush and you're going to be wiping off a lot of this paint. Now, Games Workshop, you want to, before I do that, you want to get it to where there's basically nothing is coming off the brush, almost, because you want very little paint on. I might have gone a little too far there. Games Workshop has come out with a dry paint line. Despite it sounding like it's dry, it's actually kind of spongy, and you're using less of that than you are of the paint. So I really recommend you use that. I'm not doing it today because you'll see it in my follow-up series. So we're just going to very lightly, just so we can hit the raised edges of the model. Still got too much on there. We're just kind of trying to hit the raised edges. Still a little too much, but that's okay, because my cleanup series, I will address all that. So the idea is just to kind of glaze over. It might look like I'm grinding this down. I'm actually just kind of lightly going over the brushes, or the edges of the model, kind of making those ridges stand out. Once again, if you guys are just joining in, you're like, oh my gosh, what are they doing a video for? Well, I'm just trying to do some more videos for you guys, especially I'm here every day at work about 2 hours early to paint. So why not show an extra video during the week for you guys? So I'm going to show you a good example of why I wanted to have that black exposed, or I wanted that black on here before I dry brush, because I can go in here and paint or dry brush over those little ridges there, and it helps make it pop out more. Now I don't have to, it's just kind of like saving time, because now I don't have to go back in, paint the black, and dry brush that area again. Generally now, I don't like to dry brush because it's a process I've kind of moved on from. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just I'm trying to move towards a higher tier of painting, to where my paint is now wet blending and better highlighting and whatnot. But for the sake of this 30-day challenge, I am dry brushing because it's the fastest way. And I also kind of want to see what I can do it in the cleanup series next month, how I can repair that damage, or not damage, but repair or make the model look better, even after I've already painted it, by painting over this dry brushing or enhancing the dry brushing with some edge highlighting and some wet blending. So it'll be interesting, I think, if I could pull it off. So once again, all I'm doing is just barely skimming the edges of the model. It's just enough to catch the paint, especially at the edges. That will help the model pop. And it's also, I kind of recommend it sometimes, is if you have a lot of detail in models, you might end up missing it because it's hard to see sometimes. Dry brushing will actually help highlight those areas and help you if you're doing like object source lighting and whatnot. So in a way, it's kind of beneficial. But if you're going for painting awards and whatnot, I would generally avoid dry brushing in the future, unless your local meta, or not local meta, I apologize, your local area, nobody paints their models except probably like one guy. So your competition in a painting contest locally is, let's say, limited. It will actually probably give you an edge over other people and really inspire them to go, you just dry brush that and that looks good. I can see all the details. Well, then now all of a sudden everybody else will be dry brushing. But while they're dry brushing and learning those techniques, you're already moving beyond dry brushing and going for wet blending. So you're really kind of setting the standard and the pace for your local area. And even if your local area has fantastic painters, like Houston itself got like over 1,200 just Warhammer 40,000 gamers itself, not to mention all the other games that are out there that people play exclusively. And so there's a lot of people out there that don't paint well or don't paint at all, and so you're always going to be ahead of the game, even if you are just dry brushing. I got too much paint on this. So dry brushing is a cool and a valid technique. I would not recommend it if you're going for like a Golden Demon award unless you have some amazing magical technique. That's not to say if an opportunity for you to compete in the Golden Demon happens, then you take that advantage. You take that opportunity. Because even if you don't succeed, you can at least say, well, at least I tried. And then you're going to learn something from it, and you'll be able to grow from it. Where other people have been like, oh, I could have won it, if I would have tried, but they didn't try, but you did. And that kind of helps subconsciously. It's going to help stimulate you, and maybe even others, into painting better, improving yourself. But at least you tried. I would rather try and fail at stuff like that than dream about it or make up stories and lie and exaggerate or whatever. I'd rather actually take the opportunity and fail and then learn from it and go, okay, looking at the winner, I see what he did, I see what I did, I need to figure out how to get there. So I'm going to go and learn how to do that and be better. So don't let it discourage you if some guy walks in with 4-year art degree, or 4-year art history degree or art degree, whatever, and he just blows away the competition. The guy studied for 4 years, where you've only been doing this for 6 months. Don't worry about that. At least you tried. Talk to those people. Most painters will walk you through stuff. they want to teach people. They want to basically brag about their win and how they did it, how they did their artwork, and because it really inflates their ego, and which is a good thing, and it gives you an opportunity to learn stuff. I'm gonna check chat real quick before I go into the next part of these guys. Oh, we got Leon. Is it Leon or Leon? I guess Lee on. I hope. If I have ever pronounced it wrong, I apologize. See it's you're on. Oh, fantastic. Yes, you got to watch your Game of Thrones. I have yet to watch. I've only watched one Game of Thrones episode, and it actually was just one scene. My friend was really excited about showing me. It's when Dragon Girl, I can't think of her name, got out of a bathtub. So my friend was like, "Oh my gosh, you got to see this!" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I saw one other scene. It's when the mountain. Spoiler, guys. The mountain, the really huge guy, was fighting another guy in the arena and just brutalized him. I don't know who it was, but it was really hard to watch. That's all I've watched of Game of Thrones. I'm waiting now until this last season. I'm going to borrow all my friends' DVDs, and over the course of a month or so, is just binge watch. So I can wait. But awesome that you are going to be you're going to go on leave. You deserve it. So enjoy it. I wish I could take leave, but I need to be in a job where I can do stuff like that and still get hopefully paid. Good that you're working on your salamanders. Salamanders next to Imperial Fist are my two favorite legions, loyalist side. The other, if I had to say I have a traitor legion I really enjoy, it would have been the Night Lords, just because I like that whole vigilante concept, though they went a little too far in their vigilanteism. Yeah, Salamanders, I actually had a Horus Heresy Salamander army and a Horus Heresy Imperial Fist army. Of course, I sold them, which I do with my armies. Though this one that I'm working on, this is my penance, because as a member of FNP, I'm supposed to have an army, and I kind of sold my only one that I have anymore. So now I've got to quickly get this painted. Let's see here. So good on that. And you're using an airbrush. Okay. Yeah, I'm interested in trying airbrushing a little bit. I mean, I've done it before, but it's been mainly to only to base coat, and if I needed to do a wash over the entire model, I'd run it through there. I was using a very cheap brush. It had no pins in it, or pens, or needles, whatever it is that helps you get the different diameter. It's just basically a spray gun. Essentially it was. But I enjoyed using it because it really sped up my time. But now I don't have anything that I can put into practice with that. So eventually, if things go all right, we have the guys from Cult of Paint. Check them out online. The Cult of Paint are going to be here at the end of April. There's still spots open for the class. I think we have 6 left out of 20, I think. These guys are going to be showing us advanced paint techniques. These guys are award-winning painters, and if you want to be airbrushing, this is the time to do it. It's a 3-day course here, and they're going to show you oh man, I just got a lot of paint all over that model. I'm jibber-jabbering here. Yeah, Cult of Paint. Yeah, you're not an asshole with a paint degree. Did I say asshole? If I did, I apologize. Man, if I called anybody with an art degree an asshole, I'm really sorry. That would have been total slip of the tongue. I just, when I was starting to talk about that, it was reminding me of a guy. People were trying to figure out, how do you paint so well? You know, how is that a decal or whatever? And he's like, no, man, I spent 4 years working on an art degree. That's how I basically painted a mural on the side of on 4 sides of a drop pod, or 5 sides of a drop pod. And that just stuck in my head when I was starting to talk about that. If you have an art degree, kudos. Get out there, and especially if you're good at painting, like I'm guessing. I haven't seen all of Leon's work, but if you have an art degree, don't be afraid to walk people through it. I mean, if they're not going to really pay attention or really ask serious questions, they're looking for shortcuts, then, I get it. You don't need to, there's no really shortcut to being a good painter. Or any type of art. It requires time and dedication to get good, to get better, more better. But man, please share your knowledge with you, especially around you locally. It's something I'm just asking. I'm not telling you, just asking. Share your knowledge, because the more painters we get, the more people with better painted armies or just painted armies, really helps grow the community and the hobby, and it really pushes the boundaries of the hobby. And I mean, I've just watched in the past few years an explosion of talent. People that are not even playing the games, but they are building and painting the models and showing that off, and it's amazing seeing people do that. And they share that knowledge. So please keep doing that, because the more talent we've got, the more we push the standards, or the higher that we raise the standards and the stakes of this hobby. So hopefully to the point where, I doubt it will ever happen, but we get to where nobody is going into an event without an unpainted army. And that becomes such a standard that nobody even remembers the days, or it's like, well, back in my day, you used to be able to go to a place and not have a fully painted army. But now you got to. That would kind of be cool. Maybe a little oppressive, a little Orwellian? Not sure. George Orwell. Maybe a little bit of oppressive, but it'd be cool if we can get to that standard where everybody's got showing up with painted models, no matter how basic the paint job is or how advanced it is. Man, it was such a great day to start showing up at events and seeing where people are practically competing more for an appearance award. But that's what more people are more worried about than their generalship. Where those people, the generalship people, will be kind of at the, not shunned or anything, but at the low end of the scoring. I think that'd be really kind of a nice turnaround and really shake up the meta that's kind of going on right now, where it's more about just having the most point, which there's nothing wrong with that, having the most point efficient army, and you're sacrificing your hobby score, and more relying on your cult of personality and having this really efficient army, which once again, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a brutal, efficient list, especially when you're competing at a tournament. And it also depends on what type of tournament. If it's like a friendly narrative tournament and you show up with the top 10 grand tournament winning list for a friendly event or a narrative event, you're kind of a jerk. I'm going to say it, you're a jerk. Those narrative events, those friendly tournaments, they are designed to be a lot more laid back. It's not about winning, necessarily winning the scenarios. It's more about having fun. It's more about showing off the hobby and recognition for your hard work that you put into your models, your story, your theme, your display board, which going forward, I think really we need to make sure that display boards, though as awesome as they are, only get basic points very low points for on your appearance score. I would say I would say to the point to where it's 1 point if you have a display board. You know, congratulations. Then 2 points if you really kind of, I mean, you obviously went all out. Multiple paints, multiple conversions, multiple pieces of terrain, very thematic, whatnot, instead of just a tray. So that should be at 1 or 2 points, and then that's it. And I'm really kind of against display boards being included in the painting score, and this is just from an aspect of, since painting scores are kind of subjective anyways, if somebody shows up with, say, something that's very nostalgic looking for them, like let's say a G.I. Joe or a Transformer themed base, or a painted army, and your bases are all themed like that for, like, let's say Transformers, and your display board is like that. Well, yeah, cool on you for coming up with that idea, but that also puts a bit of a twist on, or it calls into question whether your stuff is better painted, better presentation, better appearance than the guy next to you or 3 rows down from you who actually has a better technically painted army, but you went for that nostalgic award. And so it wasn't the best appearance, but all of a sudden it became like the judge's favorite because he really adored Gen 1 Transformers. And that's what you just did, is made your army and everything paint up. Maybe not the best construction, maybe not the best paint job, and that's what it should go to the guy down the road. But that's why I'm kind of like reluctant when it comes to that stuff. I think the painting awards, or the highest points and everything, should go to the best technically executed versus best apparent, or best, or kind of like how the theme fits. You know, it's like, oh, I like this theme better. It should really go to the guy that actually was a better quality painter and builder and all that jazz. You know, and then save that for another award, like, oh, well, we got our fan favorite here. This guy did an awesome Transformers versus G.I. Joe display board, really freaking awesome. Yeah, he didn't win the best painted, but he's definitely getting our fan favorite or judge's favorite or whatever. You know, a lesser award, right? A lesser award, but still an award and an acknowledgement of their hard work and dedication to what they did there. So it's still, you can acknowledge that, maybe come up with a separate award, because I'm starting to see that more and more now. And I've seen a couple events where and not where I've gotten beaten out or anything, but where other people that are definitely more deserving of best appearance have been beaten by people with these not a really good quality army comparatively, but they had that nostalgic thing, and it's just such a shame that people with a better technically painted army or appearance, whatever, lose out because they didn't appeal to somebody's childhood. I'm sorry, I'm doing a little ranting there. That's just something to think about, especially if you're a TO. Look out for in the future, or when you're judging a painting contest. Look at the technicality of the miniatures. Forget about the display boards, forget about the nostalgia, and look at the models. Did they execute it well? Did they execute the paint job well? Sorry, a little ranting. Just something, kind of an irksome thing from somebody that paints a lot and that's judged a lot of painting contests. Try to avoid that mentality going in. Look at the technical aspect of their paint job, please, because they put a lot of hard work into it, especially those people like Leon that has an art degree, that has probably a fantastic technical painter, but might miss out because somebody did a G.I. Joe themed Imperial Guard army, and though yeah, they did a very good job of building that army and getting a lot of those G.I. Joe guys, or the, not G.I. Joe guys, but the miniatures painted and kind of converted to look like it. Overall, it wasn't well executed as compared to the guy next to him with the awesome, say, Ultramarines army. Nobody likes Ultramarines. Or they might, I mean, the judges might be like, oh God, I hate Smurfs, so I'm not going to give them as high of a award. Maybe it's not even a deliberate, vicious type thing. It's just a subconscious thing. So, I don't know. Basically what I'm doing right here, if you guys are catching up or just joining in, I am getting paint all over my models where I don't want, but I'm also going back in. I'm just doing base coats for all the models. Let me check time real quick, and then the chat, as soon as I get this second layer of Monument Hobbies Desert Brown, which I really, really love. I'm getting just all the base coats down, so the last thing I'll do with these guys is apply the wash and let them dry, hopefully before, or by the time I have to jump off here at 12 Central Time, because I've got to get to work. I'm already at work, but I've got to go open the doors, turn on the lights and everything, let customers in so we can make money, and I can justify my existence to my bosses and take care of our fantastic customers that come in, that show off the hobby really well. I really get excited talking to people, especially the guys that come in with their Horus Heresy armies, or their 40K Age of Sigmar armies. I really like seeing it. Might not always show it because I'm not super jolly, like, oh my gosh, golly gee willikers, it is so good to see that army. If you talk like that, I apologize, but I do enjoy seeing the effort that people put into their armies and the passion, hearing the passion about what they're talking about. It's really cool. It's real, especially the passion when people start talking about it. I might not reflect it in my body language or my words, but I am impressed. So if you ever come up here or come up to the Atomic Hobby Shop, and I was like, oh, that's cool, that's really good. That means that I'm impressed. I might not be doing cartwheels and lavishing you with exaggerated praise, but I do appreciate the efforts that people put into it. Just simply getting your models painted, man, you are already have a nice high spot in my standards just by simply painting. It doesn't mean that you're less for not having painted models. It just, I got a kind of a soft spot for the people that put effort into painting their models. Alright, so all I'm doing is just getting the base coat on here. Oh no, I got paint on my model. Let me try to wipe off. Oh, this is a disaster. You guys will see me wash the brush off and put it back in my mouth. These paints are non-toxic. They don't taste well, but they're non-toxic. And I'll do that really quickly to get the point back, because don't ever twist, try to get the point back. Just draw it across a piece of paper to get or towel to get your point back. Don't ever twist your brushes, that damages them. But it's also why I always have a flavored drink nearby, so I can get the taste of paint out of my mouth. Let me tell you right now, I think the worst ones I've tasted was the Hexwraith Flame, and I actually accidentally did this with, or put it in my mouth with texture paint from GW's Texture Paint, and that gritty paint was, it was bad. I almost had a little bit of a gag reflex there. Let me check out chat real quick and check time. 11:24. We're going to be close on, probably get all the base coating done. Check the chat here. Leon. Cool. Leon, I'm looking forward to seeing your photos. the 2nd Legion or the 11th Legion. I always say the 11th Legion was the female legion because at some point the Emperor had to figure out that the women were not capable, and I think it's all because of the genetics with the testosterone and whatnot. They were incapable of becoming space marines. So I joke around. I doubt they were actually a female legion, but I think they were. Because I think the 2nd Legion was not per se wiped out, but they were absorbed into, I think it was the second, it could have got those numbers reversed, but the 2nd Legion was absorbed into the Ultramarines. That was why they have so many Ultramarines, like 250,000 during the Horus Heresy, and why the 500 Worlds was so huge. There's little hints throughout the written history in the different novels that kind of allude to that. No proof, but enough that Gita was never going to come out and say, yes, the 11th Legion was female and the 2nd Legion was sparkly vampires. Never going to say that. Just because they want to leave something open for you guys to play around with. And I've seen some great interpretations of the 2 different legions, and a lot of really weird fan fiction. But see what else you got there. The Grey Legion. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's always going to be gray models, but the more we can push the hobby, I think the better off we are. Because, like I said, you paint something and then I paint something, and we look at each other and go, "Oh man, I need to do better." And because we're always going to be hypercritical of our own stuff, and so now we're going to have to we're always going to be trying to one up not only ourselves, which is really what you should be doing, is improve upon what you've already done, but also we want to make sure that we're beating the guy or the gal next to us. So, and by guy or gal, I know we have a fair number of people in the LGBT community. So if you're gender non-conforming or non-binary or trans or anything, like when I say he or she, it's a generalized term. It's not erasing or anything like that. So just bear with me on that. So next color, I need to check a couple more of the chat things. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tackle the lead belcher. So I'm going to start shaking that up as I read the chat. Facing Girly Man and 20 Hellblasters. Yeah, I see that, Leon. It's always a rough thing. 30 Hellblasters. Yeah, I mean, I played Raven Guard before they not nerfed, but they adjusted the stratagem. And I would, at LVO 2 years ago, one game I played against this guy's World Eater army. And turn 1, I set up 21 amongst 3 squads, so 7 Hellblasters. 1 squad, and that first turn, I seized on them. I destroyed a Brass Scorpion with 1 group of 7. With the next group of 7, I destroyed a Land Raider Spartan. And then that 3rd squad, I split fire. I obliterated a Predator. It was a Forge World variant, and then one of the World Eater Berserker squads that got out of the Land Raider that I just blew up. I mean, I ended up losing all those guys, but then behind them I had a squad of Inceptors. 2 squads of the Assault Bolter Inceptors, so it was 6 shots apiece, 6 times 6, so 36 shots from each of those. And then the other one was all Plasma Exterminators, so it was 2d3 shots per guy, so it was at 12d3 plasma shots, and all they did was, oh look, Berserkers, back up, shoot. Oh, they're getting closer, back up, shoot. Well, actually I did that for 2 turns. At the bottom of turn 2, he conceded because he only had Chaos Cultists left. I annihilated everything. So I know what it's like seeing Hellblasters. Yeah, I'm not a big player anymore when it comes to the game. I've shook this up enough. I'm going to go ahead and scoop out a healthy amount of Lead Belcher, rotate my palette around here. I used to play I was knee deep in it, 5th, 6th edition, a little bit of 4th, where I was playing competitively, but 6th, 7th, and now 8th. I'm not much of a competitive player. I like the hobby aspect now. Nothing wrong with the competitive play, like the tournaments and stuff, but I run tournaments now. I run events like Warzone Houston. So it's I just don't take as much time to play as I should. I'll change that in the future, especially after I get this army all nice and painted. For anybody just joining us, I am continuing my 30-day challenge of batch painting. These are my infiltrators. I've got 40 of these bad boys. 20 are done, and today I will be close to having 30 done. Actually, I'll have 30 done by tomorrow morning. I will not be live streaming tomorrow. My next live stream tomorrow night it'll be all of FMP. But my next live stream will be through what day? Wednesday at 8 o'clock, where I'll be showing off more of my model or painting. I'll show the completed suppressors head to toe, so you can see what they look like. And I will also have, that day I'll be working mainly on the eliminators, which are the snipers. These guys are going to be really quick and easy to build and paint, or quick and easy to paint, because they've got probably about half their body is hidden behind a camo cloak, because they're all super stealthy, like big giant 1,000-pound space marine or 1,000-pound ninjas in power armor, as stealthy as they can be. And I'll be painting them up, but they're going to paint up real quick just because of the cloak. So right now I'm just batch painting. That's taking a group of models. For me, it's 5 models. Oh, sorry. Oh no. Let me get on there. There we go. Sorry if I've been moving around. I was looking at the wrong camera. I had not realized that I've been probably flipping this around and you guys not been seeing what I've been working on, so I apologize. All I'm doing is simply grabbing, I got 5 models here. I'm choosing one color, which right now is just lead belcher, and I'm simply painting the same thing on every guy. So if they've got a gun, which is what I'm doing right now, I'm painting all the areas of the gun. I don't care too much about neatness right now on some of these areas, like on the gun here, since I'll be painting up black on any of that overspill. Painting up the grenades. Got to paint up this knife here. And when you're painting, man, use quick, sure brush strokes. The more tense you get, the more tight and cramped up you get, the more likely you're going to make a mistake with your model. So just go in, strike, get that brush in there, do those brush strokes, and if you mess up, man, you can fix it. It's paint. It's okay. It sucks that you would have to go back, but man, it's okay. It's not going to ruin your model having to go back in and do a cleanup. I'm going to be doing cleanups very frequently with these models, but that'll be next month's show. So all I'm doing, like I said, just rinsing and repeating. The Wednesday show, like I said, will be, oh, look at that. The guy's got his finger straightened off the trigger until he tends to fire. That's good trigger control right there. That's cool that they show that. It's those little things I really like about Games Workshop. They'll put those little, not Easter eggs, but kind of like an Easter egg, I guess, in there. This guy is going to get his little screen here all doodad up, because I'm going to come back through and give that a Nolan oil later. We'll be messing with this little video screen that he's got here, and the little buttons are going to get painted, but that's next month. Do you need to do that? No, but I want to take my models to the next level, so I'm going to. All right, almost done here. He's got another little doodad under here. So everywhere I need to get this lead belcher right now, that's what I'm doing. Let's see. Oh, little sides of his helmet or his mask here. We're just going to do that. The interior is going to be black. I forgot to put black on that earlier. I will do that later when I put the black on in the interior of the shoulder pads. Almost done with these guys. So he's got these extra little ammo pouches because these guys are ridiculous and they've got lots of weapons on them and ammo and tons of grenades. These guys are basically like commandos, like I said before or an earlier show, and that's why I threw on extra little tidbits. These generally are basically these are the models from the Shadow Spear box, but I've gone through with my bits box and added on a whole bunch of extra little pouches and different weapon arms, or like this guy normally does not have that arm, just to kind of make the miniatures different, give me that little bit of an edge in a best appearance contest. All right, so I can pick up the tempo here. Where did I put my lead belcher? Here it is. Make sure you guys like and subscribe on a video. Pass it on to your friends, even if they are not involved, man. If the more people we have just jumping on and helping by subscribing or even being Patreon supporter, it really helps us grow, gets the word out there, and will open up new doors for us that you guys will benefit from. So asking your family, your friends, just simply go on and like and subscribe us, whether they watch us frequently or at all. It's just helpful because it will highlight our channel and really basically help spread the word, so that people that do rely on videos like this, painting videos and whatnot, will catch it more often in their what's happening now, or their news feeds that'll start popping up more. And that's what we want, because I mean, we're not making any money off of this, but we are trying to get enough popularity so we can reach as many people and spread the good word about the hobby. And that's why we need you guys and your family and friends to help us out. And we appreciate everything you guys have already done. And by no means do you have to go above and beyond and have family and friends log on. It's not a requirement. It's just a cool thing we appreciate. So double checking here. I think I got all the metal areas right. This guy's got a lot of stuff. Got a bent antenna that's probably going to end up breaking off in the near future, but we'll deal with that when that day comes. Probably have to repaint that a little area because that antenna is going to pop off. I'm not been taking really good care of how I transport these guys right now, which is a shame because I generally do. Just a little quick thing. Make sure that you are using the best quality paints and brushes and stuff. Don't skimp on those things. Don't skip on your army transport like I am right now. I'm just kind of carrying around my paint tray instead of putting them in the foam, which I'm going to have to do now because models are kind of getting damaged. Don't skimp on this stuff. You put time, and more importantly money, into buying getting these models and painting them and prepping them for tournaments and events, or just to have fun. Don't skimp on the secondary supplies. Just get the stuff that's out there. You might not want to fork out that money, man. Just save up a little bit and get the proper paints, the proper brushes, proper transport carrier, all that stuff. Just do it. Your models deserve it. You don't want to waste your money. Leon, go ahead and send us some of that stuff, man. I'll have to get the email for you. I think it's fnpwargamers@gmail.com. Send that to us. Let's see. P20 profile. Okay, gotcha. Let's see here. I have 5 of the old GW carry cases, 2 black ones, 2 green, and a blue one. Awesome. Oh, one of those old blue ones. Okay. The only one I've got left, well, I got a couple of the old black, the hard black cases, you know, the flip with the little plastic latches. Then I have from now, probably about 3 years ago, the, oh gosh, what's that called? The it was a big, giant, double-sided foam case that was like for a vortex grenade. Big double-sided case. I mean, probably about 3 foot wide, something like that. Enough to hold like 2 levels of trays on both sides and deep, and on both sides of the carrying case. Really awesome. Very impractical, but really awesome. So real quick here, I'm going in and going with my next color. Everybody's got these purity seals. It's like a seal of approval. Are getting it. I'm going to go in here, the ACOG, which that's what I'm calling this particular lens. You'll see that these guys have multiple scopes and a digital rangefinder on their weapons. Just going through there really quick and hitting that with a splash of paint. I have to very carefully, right below the smoke grenade is a crack grenade. And I've been painting crack grenades. See, I've messed up there. I paint them red. That's just when I saw it in a book or an art book. All right, let me really quickly, before that red settles in, let me wipe that up. Get the water on there so it helps disperse the paint. Wick it up. Perfect. See if I can get that little, there's a little tiny bit, that little dot. Okay, good. Perfect. Ugh, such a pain in the butt to deal with those. Hate those. Hate having to. I hate it when I mess up like that. So checking this guy real quick. Smoke grenade, frag grenade, and there we go. I see that I missed one of his other smoke grenades. So I'm going to put a little red dot inside of that ring, just because I'm crazy like that. And get the rest of this grenade painted red. Then I'm going to take care of his purity seal if he's got one. He does not. So we're going to check time real quick, because I do have to open in 18 minutes. 18 minutes. Okay. So we definitely got to pick up the pace. I'm not seeing any crack grenades there. Right there on his back, or on his little butt plate. Go ahead and put a little red right inside that ring, just to kind of help stand out. That is the grenade pin. And then I put a little red dot in the center, just to kind of help make that grenade pop. Most people would just paint it and call it a day, or just paint it and then paint that pin, leave it alone. By painting that pin and the grenade, that puts me one step closer, or basically I look at it as like, I definitely earn a bonus point for best appearance over you if you did not do that. So thank you for not painting that, because that gives me an extra advantage in the best appearance. So right now I'm just putting red on those scopes. It's got a purity seal underneath there. I already got that crack grenade. I did it really quick. And just be, with your brush strokes, man, be quick and sure with the strokes. Do your best not to, hover and like try to zero in. Just go in, lightning strike, instincts and everything else will kind of take over. You'll get in there. And if you mess up a little bit, you can always clean up. It's okay. That's why I always have, like, after I paint up all the models, before I seal it with, now I'm using Tester's Dull Coat, which is amazing. If you're not using, like, you don't need to show off like bright models or anything. Before I do the Dull Coat, I'll go back over and give the models a once over to double check to see if I happen to miss anything. Or if I got a little bit of overpaint or something just does not look right, and I'll have a cleanup stage right before I start doing that. Because once that dull coat is on, it becomes very difficult, or that varnish or whatever it is you put on, it becomes very difficult to clean up your miniature. So we're doing this crack grenade. This is another little bit. I think this is this little bit right here. This grenade is actually, it's something I think from the Scouts. I could be wrong, but I think from the Space Marine Scouts. All right, check time. 11:45. All right, let's see here. Looking at these guys, I've got everything base coated. I can do a real quick base coat. Actually, not everything's base coated. I can do a real quick base coat of their frag grenades, which I always do as wog flesh. Great color for orc flesh. Generally good, I think just a kind of a good green altogether for as a base coat. So we're just going to quickly in here, and you can see when I say I'm doing quick and sure strokes, I'm just going in, grabbing the model, not tensing up a lot, and painting away. Oops. That's one frag grenade. All right. Some of these guys have multiple frag grenades, like this guy. I've got this one in here. You would be tempted, I think, a lot of people are, just to leave it at that. But I know from earlier observation that I can see underneath there and behind that, behind this gun, I can still see parts of the grenade. So it's good to go ahead and get every single spot. Don't skimp, unless you're like pressed for time and you just don't care. But if you want to win contests, you need to get every part of the model that you can see, because the judges will look, or are very likely to look. I would just assume that the judges are going to look. All right, so we're painting the inside of the inside of the grenade pin there. So that's 3 grenades down. This is going by pretty fast. This guy's got a frag grenade on his chest. Once again, I don't understand why having a grenade on their chest seems silly. You're more likely to get shot there. It's the biggest, broadest area, but whatever. I would not want to get shot in the chest and then, oh, they happen to just shoot the grenade. I mean, we've seen enough movies out there where people are like, oh, you know, we're in a very bad situation. Oh, is that a grenade? Let me shoot that grenade and blow up those guys and cause chaos and confusion. Well, that's how I feel about these grenades. Don't wear your grenades on your chest. Put them in a pouch, put them behind you in a pouch, you know, it's little behind you and off to the side or at the hip, less likely area to be shot. All right, so here we go again. Quick, sure strokes on the paint. And I know earlier I said you need to make sure you're rotating the brush, but this brush is already screwed, so I'm not worried about rotating that brush to maintain the nice tip. All right, we're at 13 minutes. Next thing I'm gonna do is black. After I take a drink of my delicious Monster 0 calorie Ultra Sunrise, the best flavor in my opinion. No, I'm not sponsored by Monster, but if anybody knows Monster, or if you're paying attention, Monster guys, like my friend that also goes around with the Red Bull truck, if you wanted to sponsor us, that would be super cool. FNP Wargamers also has a pro team, and if you get in the ground floor, or the beginning of how professional ITC is going, and will be an esport in the coming years, it might be a good idea to already have a team you're supporting. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So I'm going in, still batch painting. I'm applying black to the suppressors, and we're going to be putting this black on the rest of the weapon casing. Some people have asked, well, you already did black. Why didn't you apply that earlier? It's because earlier I didn't care if the black, in fact, I fully intended for the black to be a part of the dry brushing process, because it was all the little flex points of the model, where the legs and the arms bend and stuff that are not fully armored. But now I need to be careful because this is the weapon casing, and I do not want that to have the same texture, same color as the armor dry brush was. I will go back in my cleanup phase and probably do a lot of line highlighting. I've been experimenting with doing on the black. I've been experimenting with doing like shades of blue. I know other people have done it to great effect. I've never done it, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. I got a couple techniques I'm wanting to try. I've seen other people's techniques, but I like to do my own stuff. Even if I fail, I can always go back and go, you know what? They had a point. There's a reason why I should have did it that way. And yes, to answer somebody's question also, I didn't get a chance to reply to you online or on Facebook, but yes, I get a little exhausted talking so much, but I feel odd not talking and be live streaming and being all super quiet. So, and since I'm teaching and kind of explaining, passing on some life philosophy stuff, some maybe words of wisdom, not just for the painting world, but for life in general. Like yesterday, I was talking about integrity and tying it into painting and stuff, how maintaining your integrity of your brush. Very similar to maintaining your personal integrity in life. I've got a little segment I'll talk about probably on Wednesday, talking about, well, I'm going to say that for Wednesday. It'll be pretty interesting. I think some people will understand the value I'm trying to pass on. Other people might say I'm being just a bit preachy. That's okay. As long as it makes sense what I'm trying to pass on. Just because we have a lot of youth in the community, and they can hear somebody that's involved in the same hobby they are outside of their family. They might pick up a life lesson that will help them out down the road that they're not going to learn elsewhere. And having one of your peers kind of say, hey, you should be doing this, just like you are with the standards that you're holding yourself to in the hobby, you should be applying these standards to how you live your life. And integrity is one of those, so it's very easy to tie in integrity to painting. But you need to watch the Sunday show. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys. I really appreciate that. Really makes me look good to my fellow FMP wargamers, and that way I can get a nice attaboy. I don't get like paid or anything to do this, by the way. It's just, this is really just a passion. And I'm at that stage of my life. You know, I'm 46, almost 46. Sorry, July. And I'm at that stage where I want to pass on my knowledge, because the community that I'm a part of is important to me. And in this case, here I'm talking about, you know, the gaming community. Outside of this, I've got the LGBT community that I'm a part of and I'm passionate about, because they're really good groups of people that I'm part of. And you know, today's political climate, they always need that extra little support. Even, you know, it's one of those things that I always say is, even if you, and this could apply to anything, even if you don't believe something, or I mean, you don't stand by something or want to support something, say it's a religion or politics, or you don't like the current meta army, anybody that's using a Castellan robot, or not a robot, but a Castellan Imperial Knight, or is playing Yanari or whatever, you don't like that, it doesn't mean you have to stop being a decent human being to people. Yeah, they might be playing an OP army, or yeah, they might have a life philosophy or religion or politics that you don't agree with, but as long as they're not like some hate group, there's no reason to be a jerk to people. And just because you don't like Yanari or Castellan robots, you think they're too OP, or you don't like this guy because he paints extremely well and is always winning painting contests, and you wish he would just kind of back off and let you and other people have a chance. You might not like that he's competing, but you don't have to treat that person. You don't have to treat him badly. There's no need to do that. Yeah, I'm being a little preachy. I'm trying to get a point across that no matter what aspect of your life you are in, whether it's going to a hobby store and there's people there you don't like, or you're attending a tournament and there's people there you don't like, or there's a political group that's like, oh, that guy's a conservative, I don't like him. You probably don't even know him. You didn't even take chance, or you don't know her and her beliefs, religion, or that guy's sexuality, whatever. Just like you don't know about how cool a guy they are. Yeah, they're playing probably a jerk army, because they're really trying to win the tournament, because it is, of course, a competition. But it doesn't mean these people don't deserve your respect and being a decent human being. Because even if they're not being a decent human being to you, you take the higher road, be the better person. You will subconsciously, you're going to feel better about this, especially in the hobby. You won't be as bitter and angry, like, oh gosh darn it, there's a Yanari player, or you're watching the news, oh, this person's politics I hate. But once you start letting go of those simple little silly things, life will kind of ease, or the stress that you are not visibly seeing will ease up on you. Especially in this hobby, you will stop having so much anger and hate and disappointment, resentment, whatever, because whenever you see an army, just let it go, man. Just be a decent human being, and try to move beyond it, or try to understand why they are the way they are. Why are they using this army? Why do they follow these politics? Politics is a good thing. A good example. Just because a person's a conservative that likes President Trump does not mean they're racist, or they hate Hispanics, or LGBT, or whatever. They could just like him because of his business policies. Just like, a religious person, you might not support LGBT people, but you're not a jerk to them, and you'll be kind and respectful. And just like you guys that play against Yanari players, or the Castellan robots, or Gene Stealer cults. Don't have to be a jerk. You don't have to like those guys or like their armies, but you don't have to be a jerk to them. You can be cool with them, and do your best to beat them, just so you can have that kind of bragging rights. But still, just being cool to these people and kind of squashing the rumor mongering or the hate spreading will actually, it will help you and kind of elevate you in the eyes of others, because you are showing a great deal of respect and integrity. And yeah, I'm being a little preachy here. Actually, I'm not even trying to be preachy. I'm just trying to pass on some solid knowledge so you guys can be successful and not deal with so much stress out in your real life. Sorry about all that. Check chat real quick. Oh, I got 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes before I log on. Okay, so my guys, I'm going to show you real quick here, or log off so I can open up the doors. Real quick, I got all my base coating done, except for some skin, but that's not necessarily a base coating step. I did miss one little spot here. I need to get his pistol grip. I need to get all these pistol grips. I got 2 minutes here, almost 2 minutes to open up the store real quick and log off and panic and turn on the lights, get the music going, all that jazz. I can't believe, started talking there, got in the zone of painting. So in this about an hour and 45 minutes, I've managed to get 5 guys done to the standard I was aiming for, which was everything painted and washed. I don't have to worry about his handle. These guys are about 30 minutes to go, which would put me at about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. I will have, by the time I come back to them, I'll have invested in these models. So I'm sticking to my about an hour and a half. Now it's starting to look a little bit less than an hour and a half. And getting these guys built and painted, or getting these 5 guys painted, I'm going to still say an hour and a half. So this week I will have, these guys will be done by tomorrow morning. So it'll put me at 30, and then I'll have the rest of these guys painted this week. So it'll put me at 40 infiltrators this week. I'll have 12 suppressors done this week, and at the very least, 3 eliminators. So there'll be 50, it'll be 55 out of 65 models done by next Sunday. Okay, well, thank you everybody for watching. Thanks for listening to me kind of pass on a little bit of life lessons and how I tie it in with the painting world and the gaming world. I'm not trying to say anybody's wrong or anything. I'm just trying to relate things to kind of ease up the stress that a lot of people have in life in general and in this hobby, and how you can just let it go, man. Just like that song says, just let it go and enjoy life. Be a decent human being to each other, regardless of what your beliefs are, how you guys have conflict. Just be a decent human being to the other person. Be the better person. Be the better painter. Be the better hobbyist. So, all right. I've got to go open the store. Nope, that's not somebody knocking. But I got to go open the store real quick, and I will see you guys tomorrow night on a regular show. My prediction is that it'll start at 9:22. That's my time. I'm saying 9:22. We will start tomorrow, and then Wednesday, 8 o'clock. I'll be showing you the eliminators and the suppressors, and then Sunday at 5:30, more eliminators and probably some characters. So I will talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot. Make sure you like, subscribe, and contemplate joining us on Patreon. Be one of our supporters. It helps us out. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow.